Hello and welcome to Portman Road. This sound indicates an important announcement.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to the Sunday flagship show, the Talking Town podcast. I hope you are all well. We are, of course, sponsored by I Want to Network. You have this friendly message.
Hello, Talking Towners. I have some great news for you. We are launching our third networking group, and yes, we are naming it after the main man himself, Sir Alf Ramsey. So if you think that your business could do with being at the top of the leaderboard this year, we would love to hear from you. Now check out networking90.co.uk, or perhaps you'd like to contact us through our events website, iwanttonetwork.com.
Every time the wonderful Lizzie says the great man himself, I've got to be honest, my ego kicks in and I do think it's going to be named after me, and every time it's disappointment. But there we go. Fantastic message from Lizzie. It is Sunday. It is Talking Town. It is the day after a win. Yes, we did win. And there's two camps, as I said in my preview video, if you like. There's Camp Phillips, where it's papering over cracks, it's a plaster over a gaping wound, or you're in Camp Moss. Mr. Moss, I've changed it. I brought you in first because there is the camp of the Moss, if you like, that believes you should celebrate any and every win and you should be positive.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say Paul Lambert's the man to take us forward, because I think you know how I feel about that. But like I said yesterday on the full-time show, Martin, it's we've won a game of football. Football is all about them 3 points on a Saturday, on a Tuesday, and it should make you happier. It's your mood. Like, at the minute, there's enough doom and gloom around in the world. But it seems watching Ipswich Town, that's just another, for a lot of people. And I'm not going to sit here and say I was happy with the performance. We're probably going to get into that. But I think, look, we got the 3 points. It was really important that we won that game. I think, like Brenner had said on the radio yesterday, it was important just to win that game. We've won that game. We move on to the next two. Yeah. And then we'll see where we are after that. You know,
yeah.
And probably a lot of people think we know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying I'm confident sitting here that we're going to get 2 wins, but we've won a game. We kept a clean sheet. Move on.
Absolutely, yeah. And Brenner from his cupboard said it was a game you had to win, a game that really find a way, and it could be a springboard. And I just wanted to bring you in first because it's an interesting point of view. We've got a comment here from a Google user. A win, but I did expect much better. And I think that's probably where people are. Callie's in the room. Good afternoon, Callie. Nick Muller's in the room. Alex Griffin, number one vlogger, is in the room.
Look, we do expect better, Martin, because we didn't create anything, did we, from open play? But it was nice to see a centre half score a goal, because when did that last happen? You know, in the Mick years, Berra, Smith, Chambers would pop up with goals. So, I know we can all say Alan Judge slipped, but
He did. Nicky's in the room. Andrew, good afternoon, Andrew. And sore feet. I'm happy. I think it's. I'm happy with the 3 points. It's crap out of their mouths afterwards, saying we were great. That gets me. Well, we've had the one side of the conversation. Let's bring in the balance, and of course, our media mogul. Here to brighten all of our days with a piece of negativity is Matthew Phillips.
I've just got to finish writing a letter to Paul Lambert. Great, entertaining and winning football. There we go.
Is that you've been writing them letters, Matt? Have you been writing them letters to him?
Never heard such nonsense. Who's been writing those letters?
Love letters.
Tell us. He's got loads of letters.
So come on in, Matt. Camp Phillips.
Yes.
Where do you sit on yes? I know you were crying when they scored. I know you were even more upset when the full-time whistle went.
I applauded. It was a good little header. And like Rich said, it was nice actually to see us score from a set piece. But at the end of the day, right, you know, if you're going to go swimming, you got to get wet. If you want Lambert to go, you've got to lose games. We've lost, 7-8 games already? What's 1 or 2 more? In the grand scheme of things, do you know what I mean?
No, I don't agree either. I don't agree. You keep telling me, Matt, there's plenty of time for a new manager. Yeah. There's also, in that respect, there's also plenty of time for a momentum shift, players returning to fitness, and for a run to begin for Paul Lambert. I did like
the team yesterday, but it was a real kind of like last roll of the dice, wasn't it? What was it? 6 changes. What was Holy in goal? What's Cornell done wrong? He got beaten by a worldie. Get him out. Bring Holy back in. I don't know.
How did we rate Holy's performance yesterday? I wasn't confident with him in goal at all. And there was a time when they hit the bar, and then Chambers thankfully threw himself. But he seemed to switch off. He just seemed to stand there and just sort of go somewhere else.
I keep going back to it. When we signed him, people I know who was around League 1, League 2 football, watched it a lot. They said he's not really that good. He's just really tall. Can't kick very well. Switches off a bit, and he just suits us. We said it in the summer. He just suits us at the moment. He's League 1 keeper. If by some miracle we got to the Championship, you'd have to look at a new number 1. I feel.
Oh, absolutely. It was a project. He was described as a project, I believe, when he first came in, and it was never. And that's why they went out and got somebody else like Will Norris straight away, because he was always seen as the project.
Jimmy Walker, reading between the lines, told you what kind of keeper he really is, because he said on Twitter, What were we thinking of Holy? Oh, he's a great character to have around the place. He's a really good keeper. Oh, he's just good to have around the place, which probably tells you that they've got
antics.
Got some gaps to fill in his skill set, most likely.
I got a load of abuse for that when I said in the summer. He's more known for his antics than his. I
can't stand antics when you're not doing very well. Give me antics when you're top of the league. Don't be pissing about when we're outside the playoffs in League 1. Come on.
True. A Google user again. Some of the passing moves yesterday were Burley S.
Were they? Which one?
Didn't see that.
If only. I mean, I'm with you, Google user.
What, Craig Burley? They definitely.
I thought we were a bit more direct yesterday because did you hear the commentator when he said? Did you have the away comment? The home commentator on that?
Yeah, that guy's getting sick.
I shifted.
The pitch is in great condition.
What? It was awful condition.
So I thought we went a bit more direct yesterday because the pitch didn't help us. But I think where I stand is we've gone away to Burton. It was never going to be. It was never going to be.
K Burley.
It's never going to be an easy game.
No.
So them games you have to dig in, and we did dig in yesterday. And I thought, look, we weren't fantastic. I'm not saying we were fantastic, played fantastic football because, like I said just before you come on, we hardly created anything from open play. But we've got
zero. We created zero.
We've got a 1-0 win. We've got 3 points, and let's all just be happy because we won. I'm not in that camp where more games we lose, Lambert's going to go. No, keep racking up them points, and if he goes, he goes.
He ain't going to go off the back of victories, though, Rich. He ain't going to go off the back of victories. He ain't going to set somebody wins 5 on the trot.
I don't think he's going to go at all, and I think it's kind of redundant. It's sort of we can keep the pressure on, but we are only one form of media, which we may obviously get through the course of this show. And Marcus Evans, I mean, he might be a viewer, but I doubt we're on his super yacht with him, being square on the widescreen TV. But we can keep banging the drum. But I think there's other ways we need to approach it now. And one of those is, how can we win games? And yesterday, you say we didn't create a lot, but we won. We won a game of football. We found a way to win. A lot of fans are upset. Where do you two sit with this? Because is it style or is it results? Because I've seen many town teams, Burley was also one of those managers, where we've looked really good, played lovely football and got beat. So what do you want? 3 points or wonderful football and possibly... It's a Mick McCarthy question, isn't it?
Can't you have both, mine? Is it asking too much for a club of Ipswich's stature to play entertaining football and win games in the third tier? Maybe that is too much, I don't know.
Your opposition has to allow you. Yeah,
of course, yeah. Don't think like Arsenal. We just turn up and get 3 points. No,
and I don't think yesterday Jimmy Floyd's team was set up to allow you space to create and play wonderful football.
No, we used to do that during the game, didn't you? There was no gap between their... Not that I'm a massive tactician or anything like that, but there was no particular gap between their midfield and they had high line on their defence, didn't they?
You're no Twitter Guardiola.
No, I'm sick of those guys. Go and get some coaching badges and I might listen to you. That's why we had Joe Shitting on the show. I mean, it was his women's thing.
But it's like, look, you could speak to a Sunderland supporter, Matt. How are they feeling? Because they're probably in the same boat as we are. You know, they're struggling to get out of this league. I think there's 8 teams now in this division who've been in the Premier League. Charlton, another one, you know. So it's not that just easy that we're going to...
Ain't struggling that much.
Steamroller teams. It's not... like.
Ain't struggling, Rich. We've had a 3-0 away win and a 4-0 away win.
But like Martin said before, do we have bigger expectations of this squad? Do we all need to get a little bit of grasp of reality and think we're not a bad side? We're not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, and we need to grind the results out. We all want to turn up on a Saturday, play sexy football, and win 3-0. That's not reality.
First half,
on paper, a 1-0 win at Burton looks quite good because you have ground out that win. But really, you know, it should be par for teams supposedly in the promotion battle, right, to be going to the basement club and beating them home and away, which we have done. So fair play. But of course, typical Ipswich, you know, we come along, they've got a change of manager, and suddenly he's got a bit more nous around how they're going to defend. They kept, you know, what was it you said on the show the other night? They've done 17 goals in 4 or 5 games or something, and then now they've let in 1 in 2.
I've got a good stat for you, Matt. I've got a good stat for you. So Ipswich yesterday, they created a record. It was 17 games now where we haven't been winning at half time, and the last time with 16 games was in 1963 between October and December. And I've got a message from Stat because he's the one who put that on. And I messaged him. Martin said to ask him how many wins we've had out of them games that we haven't been winning 17 at half time. We've won 7 and we've lost 9.
Where does Stat get all this stuff from? He must have the world's biggest spreadsheet.
He does. He loves the spreadsheet, this Stat. I'm in a fantasy NFL league with him, and it's so tough drafting against him because he's just so organised and he knows everything. And
well, he actually put out a very good tweet today, which I retweeted and got a bit of conversation and engagement going with people. It's the anniversary of the 6-4 against Crewe, which is a game I've said I often think back to when we were watching this awful Lambert dirge. Big Joe, love Big Joe. 6-4. Can you imagine that now?
But isn't that a prime example? Because if you had been a little bit more tactically nous about you, we could have won that division. The fact that we didn't go up with that team...
Very unfortunate. 89 points we got, finished third, didn't we? 89, 88, something like that.
And I'm sure if I look back through that fixture list, I can pick out 1 or 2 games where you just say, if you put the brake on...
That's where Kookie got injured. Kookie got injured and they got scope dropped in.
Don't remind me. That was the board showing its ambition. A guy that hadn't played for Leicester for a couple of weeks.
He was juggling dust, wasn't he, Joe Royal?
Yeah. Yes.
Darren Curry. If he had a little bit more money, he'd have got us out of that league, definitely.
You could say that, or you could say maybe a little bit more. You know, I think there's a balance. And yesterday, 2 teams, first half, no confidence. Both of them had no confidence. The pitch wasn't helping. Touches were nowhere to be seen. And it was just a as I said at half time, I think two heavyweight boxers sort of feeling each other out,
jabbing,
getting the range. Second half,
we could have been a goal down at half time if you hadn't been for Chamberlain's great.
It did. And then I think at half-time, Jimmy Floyd probably said to his team, you've got this. You know, you are a pound for pound as good as they are. And they came out firing. And that helped us because it opened it up a little bit. Suddenly there was space to play some interchanging passes. Downs got involved. Andre got involved. Edwards was a bit missing for me.
Alan Partridge said it on the radio. He said, they're now getting more crosses in. So, it was a bit more expensive down the wings, wasn't it?
It was David Moyes-esque in the first half, though, Crunch, wasn't it, with the crosses. We were just crossing without any sort of plan with what we were going to do with it.
But for as much as the game opened up second half, we still... Did either of us think that we were going to score a goal? Because I did not for open play, you know. And then we had them... We bought them two worldy strikers on, Matt, Drinnan and Ollie Hawkins. Wow, they were to set your pulse going.
The goal machines are on. To be honest, with Drinnan, he gets himself into some good positions, doesn't he? He was there for that flash header that hit the bar.
Couldn't finish his dinner.
Bin off A Drizzy, right? Bin off A Drizzy. It is Aaron the nearly man Drinnan. Until he so nearly got it. So nearly.
Yeah. He's very close. Yeah, I agree.
He's not a finisher. He's not a closer.
I can't stand that A Drizzy stuff. Oh, God. It's just awful.
Don't worry. The crane train's coming next.
No. I mean, it's so out of sync getting with the fans, those nicknames. God bless my people and all that.
Lambert is juggling jelly because he chose to make jelly.
Who's your man of the match then? The big man?
Toto.
Yeah, fair play to him.
No.
One of his
Did you just praise Toto, Matt?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Look, when he's in the team, I don't sit there going, "Oh God, I wish he has a really bad game."
See, really,
when he started off the season and was really good, I put that beautiful through ball at the Bristol Rovers. I was buzzing over that. It was fantastic. We played it on here, didn't we? But the only problem I've got with Toto, of course, is always going to be a Rick, and he nearly wasn't he? And he stuck it in his net, but he did play very well. He blocked and he headed.
He does the simple things. Like I said yesterday, he kicks it, heads it, blocks it. Look, he might make an error, but then.
Sorry, an error. That's putting it lightly. I like Toto, but it ain't an error. It's a catastrophic fucking error. It is a system overload error.
What did you make of Wolfenden being dropped, Matt? Because there was a lot of people saying it was because of the comments, and I said on the pre-match show, because he hasn't been playing very well.
A lot of lads said it on our Twitter and on the shows in the comments last week, didn't they? He did that interview and said, "I bet he don't play next week," and lo and behold, he didn't play. So.
I backed him, didn't I, Martin, before the game? I said I really rate him.
You did. He played well. He played well, but if you look at the Mark McGuinness journey and the Luke Wolfenden journey, what we're doing with McGuinness, we should be doing with Wolfenden. We've allowed McGuinness to play through bad form and come out the other side of it. The moment Wolfenden has a patchy piece of form, he's hooked. You know, he's a guy that's probably struggled for fitness at the start of the year, had a few injuries, if my memory serves me correctly. There's been so many I struggle to keep up with. Had COVID. Yeah, and Lambert, knows obviously what the effects of that can be. I just don't think it was fair to drop him like that. Because he didn't do anything last week. You thought, do you know what? That's why we lost. Same as Di Cornell. That's why we lost, because those two had a catastrophic mess up.
But we know, Matt, that about Toto, when we've played against these average teams, he's played well. So the next two games you've got coming up, you're playing against Peterborough, Clark Harris, Smodix, and then we go to Sunderland, and you've got what's the big guy? Got a hat trick yesterday for him up front. So there you go. He's going to be tested there. So let's see how they go against them.
Absolutely.
He was great against Sunderland up at the Stadium of Light. Well, it was the McGuinness Toto show, wasn't it? The penalty gates. It's like we don't have a repeat of that.
Right, let's bring in some fan opinion on yesterday's game. Let's start with still lockdown Stephen. Sorry, how you doing, Stephen?
I'm all right. How are you?
Very well. Who's man match yesterday?
NCR probably. I know we had one mistake, but at the end of the day, the centre back makes a mistake. Like the other days, it's going to be a goal. If you put Chambers there, he does that. It's probably going to be a goal. I think the keeper did well to get to it. Big lad. He got down very quick. He didn't have much time to react. But on all, it was solid, and we needed someone solid. And that's why you need someone like Nceala or Wilson, as well as Wolfenden and or McGuinness. You can't play both two ball players because they just pass it between each other. You need someone to get in there and like say, well, I'll stop the ball, you get the ball out. And if you don't get that balance right, they just end up doing the same thing. They just pass to each other, or they just start kicking it out miles away from each other, and you just get an imbalance. It's better to have a balance in the central defence, and then they both know what they're doing instead of both thinking they're doing the same thing. That's my opinion, anyway.
No, that's fair opinion. And James Wilson, guys, no real news on him. Just he was doing well, I think, was the message.
Yeah. Oh, he's back on the grass, I think they said this week, possibly.
I mean, you know,
That's crazy.
Well, what's the consensus here? What's Wolfenden done wrong? Difficult to say that. In order to come out the side, then what did he do wrong against Swindon last week? Okay, that first goal, he weren't in for the first one.
I think he talked too much. I think he let something out that he shouldn't have let out.
Yeah, maybe.
Even if it was just like his facial expression, he looked dejected. You know, why a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, why he's doing the interviews? You know, when you've got like Chambers in there, Judge in there, you've got these experienced pros who know what to say in times like this, and he's sending out a lad who's had a year's experience. You know, don't do that then. If he volunteered, like they said, fair enough. But from the look of his face, I don't think he volunteered. I don't think he really wanted to be there. Because he was dejected. I was upset myself for it.
How do they, Matt? You would know this. How do they pick the players for an interview after the game? Do they have? Is that chosen before the game?
No. Generally, it would be a decision made by the press boys on the back of the result. So if someone's hit a hat trick, you're going to put them up. You'd have to go to the manager and say, look, we want to put up X, Y, and Z. So I wonder it's an interesting one, that, because Wolfenden didn't play great, I know, in that Swindon game. So why he did it, I don't know. It's a difficult one, that. I mean, at Wembley, all the players used to be up for media. They would have to walk through something called a mix zone, where you got all the journalists and all
walk through.
You walk through, yes, the mix zone. You might have heard Andy and Stu mention it on the King's Finger, but they don't really have that at Portman Road. It would be a decision made by the press office. So it was an odd one, that.
You know, the way I look at it is they scored 2 goals that day. Why not speak to a goal scorer?
Yeah, you could put Norwood up. Good to see you back and score. Yeah, that probably would be my go-to. Yeah.
Before we know it, he could have walked himself forward and said, I'll do it this week, no problem. If we flip it, though, has he been a little bit of a distraction this year? Because we've had this start of the season antics with the Instagram, where didn't he remove Ipswich Town from his profile? And then we had this interview, and I don't think it was the first interview, was it? This was the second one this year where you maybe could have pulled a few things out of it, if memory serves me correctly. So maybe it is a little bit of a lesson. Maybe people in the chat are saying he's too lazy, too laid back. Has he arrived before he's arrived?
Paul Lambert did say that about him, didn't he? I think it was last season. He said he's really laid back, and look, I would rather play him than McGuinness because he's our own player. But like I said yesterday, he hasn't played very well. I don't think he's been in that good a form. And like you said, Martin, he's had injuries, he had COVID, and I don't think he's been dropped for the comments. I don't believe.
This goes back to the point that Matt made. At the end of the day, he's our own player. He's going to be here next year, hopefully. Yeah, McGuinness is not going to be here next year. He's going to be at Arsenal, and then he'll go somewhere else. They'll do the usual episode of making millions and millions of pounds out of loaning out youth players. So why don't you, instead of playing McGuinness through the trouble, use the time to get Wolfenden through the trouble and the difficult times to the good times. Then we'll have a player at the end of it instead of letting Arsenal have a better player at the end. I just don't see the logical sense. That's
exactly my point. I'd rather a player.
To be fair to McGuinness, I'm not his biggest fan. I thought he had a good game yesterday. I know he scored the goal, but I thought he'd done all right.
Yeah, but as Luke Penning said, I'd rather play without him and play a man short than play with somebody who's not going to be here in 4 months' time.
He was playing with NCL. If you played Wolfenden again alongside NCL, would Wolfenden have a good game? You just don't know. That's a choice the manager makes. I think he made the wrong one, but it's his call.
But to his credit, he has made a call finally, because those two, Wolfenden and McGuinness, were a partnership. I called it weeks and months ago. They did not work.
Mick Mills called it after the first time they played together.
He did.
Likewise. So did I. Yeah, me and Mick Mills, you see, same wavelength.
Two similar players. And you just can't have that sort. You like back in the old days, you used to always have like a stopper and someone who's a bit more creative.
Yeah.
You know? And you have to have that. You look at all the best sides; they've always got one player. Even Liverpool, they've got that massive bloody block. They've got that Dutch guy.
See that comment, Matt? Hawkins for centre back.
Someone a bit more creative. Well, why not?
Absolutely.
Centre back at least he's got some height. Might do
Good
something.
grief, no. Stephen, we appreciate you. Look after yourself. Mike, tell me very quickly your thoughts on yesterday's game, and then I've got another question for you. What do you think about yesterday's game?
We got 3 points. You know, everybody's half those people.
That kills him.
Yeah, it does. No, look, I'm an Ipswich fan, and yes, we got a win. And am I happy we got a win? Of course we are. But come on, Burton they were dog shit. They really were absolute pile of poo on a football pitch. They are League Two, probably bottom half of League Two.
They're going to struggle.
They really are. They are so bad, and yet we made them look pretty average. For 70 minutes we had one shot, and that weren't even on target.
Well, Rich makes
It doesn't matter.
Rich makes
It does, of course it matters. It matters
No, it doesn't.
hugely. If we to play like that against Sunderland or any against the top 6 sides, 7, 8 sides in this league, they are going to punish us.
But yes,
And
but
they have, and
football's
they have, and they will, and they do.
Football's not like that, though, is it? Football's not like that. I do not expect Peterborough and Sunderland to rock up at Portman Road and play the exact same way Burton did yesterday. I expect them to rock up to Portman Road and think we are the big boys, we are the top dogs, we are the alpha males, and play expansive stuff, which in turn creates a different game.
Create space for us because, like you said, Martin, before they would keep 4-5-1. They played, and sometimes it takes two sides to make a game. You know,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah, it does.
I get that. But our track record,
Oh, I know that.
you know, and people go. I mean, we're saying, somebody said on the forum earlier about top 5 players, or somebody was, I think it was yesterday.
The power of 5.
Power of 5. I mean, that is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life. I mean,
Who are these players anyway?
I'm sorry, but you know, if they are our best players, I just, you know, the only thing I would say, going on McGuinness, I thought, you know, Enciala and McGuinness looked good yesterday, but they were playing against some rather, you know, questionable forwards, shall we say? And I think when you say, look, should we play McGuinness over Wolfie? If Wolfie's not playing well, and he didn't have a great game last time, why not play McGuinness? Because if we was to get promoted, he might want to come back to us, you know? Well, he might actually want to move to us. Who's to say he's going to make it in the Arsenal side?
Mike, you make me laugh. Last week you were telling me a bloke from Barnsley wouldn't want to come. Now you're telling me a bloke from Arsenal wants to come back.
I'm talking in the Championship. If we got promoted to the Championship, I'm not talking League One because, quite frankly, you know, League One's a bit of a different area. Everybody knows what League One is, and we're in it.
Okay.
You know,
Right, different question for you three. Peterborough and Sunderland are coming up next. How do we win those games?
Change formation.
Preach to me. Changed it to what and how and why?
I think. Look, I've said this for ages, and Martin, you know this. You know, we know 4-4-2. We've got players to do that, but I think 3-5-2 would suit us down to the ground.
Yeah,
I really
agree
do.
with that.
I think we've got.
Who are you playing right wing back, Mike? Who are you playing right wing back?
Well, to be quite honest,
KV.
Chambers could do it, couldn't he?
No, he's not got the legs.
But I'm not saying. But we've got. Oh, God's sake! I can't think of the other player. Oh,
Harry Cotter.
Not Donat.
Oh.
No, not Donassi. And the
Behave.
You could play Edwards there. You could play Edwards right wing back.
Oh, come on,
Lee Anderson,
he could play
Edwards.
Right back. Yeah, he could play.
Mike
Yeah,
with. Oh,
and then I mean, I watched. I was reading the forum this morning. Sorry, I was reading the forum this morning, and someone made a very good point. Is Ward better than Kenlock?
Yes.
Yeah, of course he is.
Oh, you had to think about that, didn't you? You had to think about it, though, didn't you?
Not really. It's the
No, he's
delay on
not.
your internet, Mike.
No, he's not.
Really? I've not seen nothing of Ward that would suggest to me that he's a good player.
Stephen
not
Ward's
like
a
he was
good
when
player, but he's not head and shoulders above Miles Kenlock. Not for what I would believe would be the wage discrepancy.
Exactly.
I think that money could be better. Like if you look at the top teams in this division, that you don't go immediately to their left back and go, "Whoa, yeah, what a player." You go to their strikers, you go to their attacking players, and that's always been our issue. We've always had a bit of an allocation of funds that are in the wrong places. Like two goalkeepers, you can't play both. So while one sat on the bench earning whatever he's earning, he's still earning money. Whereas Harry Wright, bless him, he could sit on the bench and scratch his nose. Do you know what I mean?
I think fans would be a lot happier. I mean, I think all of us on here, if we got result in the next 2 games, and if we let's say, look, we got 4 points out of the next, or say 5 points out of the next 3 games, I think all of us would be a lot happier. Do you know what I mean? But I can't see us beating. The only team I can see us getting a point from is Crew.
A point?
You think we'll lose to Peterborough and Sunderland then, Mike? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I just think they're better. I think they're better managed, and their teams. The teams. I know. I mean, Sunderland's obviously just changed, but when was the last time a striker scored a hat trick for us?
Yeah.
You'd need a quality striker to score a hat trick
Well,
first.
I mean, you could always. I tell you what, who could play out front for us, and I think he'd do a really good job. Holly Hawkins. Ever heard of him? Honestly, someone said centre back, left back in the changing room would be where I'd keep him.
You've got to pay him to his strengths, haven't you? I mean, you're talking formations here. We know Lambert ain't going to do 4-4-2. You could, I mean, like, what's a variation of 4-3-3? Like a
4-2-3-1.
Yeah, 4-4-1-1. So you could have Hawkins in that kind of almost target man role, feeding in the wider players and Norwood maybe.
But then you ask him to play the long pass, aren't you, as Mick Mills?
Or you ask Norwood to play that role, and you've got Jackson in now. He comes back.
I'm not quite sure what Hawkins' strengths are, because unless it's directly on his head, it's redundant. Like he's not a mobile player. He's not like Darryl Murphy with mobility. He's not good with his feet. So unless it's directly on his head or in a radius of the head, what is his strengths?
Well, we just didn't recruit very well on strikers, did we, in the summer?
Which year are we talking about?
Yeah. While Peterborough is spending money, Ivan Toney money, again another great signing, on his replacement, we're bringing in freebies from Pompey. We've seen it all season. Pompey didn't want him. Why wouldn't you just want him?
Peterborough's front three, Matt. Clark Harris, Schmoddix and Dembele.
Now, we lost 4-1 to these, didn't we, last season? That was when Norris did that massive wreck, wasn't it? Yeah.
Now, you see, people will say we haven't got any money. And I disagree, passionately about that. But when you look at the allocation of funds, Sammy Schmoddix from Bristol City, for example, I don't care what he's earning. If you're telling me Hawkins and Di Cornell together aren't nearly... Do you know what I mean? And both aren't playing. So that's a complete waste of funds. And this is where the salary cap for me completely breaks down, because there's no transparency with it. So as a fan, you can't sit and analyse it and say, well, what the hell are the brain trust thinking? Doing this, doing that, doing this. Or, we've got a few thousand left in that salary cap. We could go after a player such as... At the moment, it's all cloak and dagger. It's all, do we have to sell somebody to get somebody in? Or do we not? Because no one knows. It's all...
We spoke about Schmoddix, didn't we, Matt? I think it was back in the summer when... So, he was playing at Colchester down the road. Yeah. Did we not have anyone down there looking at him?
Like Mark Kinsella.
Yeah.
We've never been good at looking at our own back garden. Never, ever, as a club, have we been good.
We did get Sears and Kane Vincent Young in.
Stop talking about Kane Vincent Young, will you?
He would fit Mike's 3-5-2, obviously, if we ever see him again.
He would. So Mike wants to go 3-5-2. How would you two go for these next 2 games to see us with 6 points or 4 points? And you can't sack Lambert. You can't sack Lambert.
I'd go that 4-4-1-1. That's what I would try. So we've got at least got 2 strikers on the pitch, and maybe have Jackson as the highest striker. So you've got that pace to utilise. Absolutely.
Crunch, same?
No, I'd go 4-2-3-1. I think especially against Peterborough, you've got to keep it tight against them. If we open up too much, they will slice us apart. I don't want to see Chambers getting caught out of position going forward like he was against Swindon and a couple of other times. We've got to be solid at the back against this team. We're not scoring a lot of goals. We know we're not scoring a lot of goals, and people might say, play another striker. But I think against this next Saturday, I think we've got to try and keep it tight and just try and stay in the game. We don't want to get to half-time like we did against Hull, I think Charlton. Yeah, the game's gone.
Haven't we done that though since we dropped to League One? Haven't we done that? When we've come against the top 6 sides, haven't we sort of tried to look solid? Now, has that worked out?
Yeah. Well, that's the issue.
I get what you're saying, Rich, but what I'm saying, my opinion, obviously, is that we have tried that. We have gone, whenever we've played Sunderland or whenever we've played these top 6 times, we've always gone for this, it's always been 4-3-3, but we've ended.
Oh, we've lost your mic.
No, we've lost you, Mike. We've lost you.
It goes back to what we were.
I'm here.
Go on, Mike. Go on,
sorry. I just had a phone call come in. So we've gone back to this. We end up sort of being a 4-5-1, which means we flood the midfield and we have that solid back four. But we haven't looked solid, and I just think that maybe we should start putting pressure on teams. We need to start putting pressure on teams. Because we're not creating nothing. We're not pressurising teams. Every team that we play against, they always seem to look better than us, look more pacier than us, look more up for it than us. And yet we just plod. I mean, even yesterday, Burton were crap, but they look better than us, effort-wise. We just looked a little bit, let's try and make a pass here,
A lot of that could be personnel, though. And yesterday we saw for the first time, I think this season, if not for a long while, Downs and Andre as a midfield combination. How do we feel those two played as a pair and individually? Are we looking forward to seeing more of them? Are you worried about them? Tell me what you feel about them two for yesterday's game.
I think that was my midfield 3 that I banged on about at the start of the season. Bishop, Dazelle, Downs, and that's only the second time that they've ever played together. So look, it was a hard game yesterday. It was a slog. There weren't a lot of football played in the game. But hopefully... Flynn Downs got through 90 minutes, which is good. That's a positive going forward because he's not hardly played any football since September. So you think if they play together more, hopefully they're gonna get better, aren't they? But I'll just say, Mike, that football is all about that result on a Saturday. We didn't play well. We kept a clean sheet. We were solid and we won 1-0. And if we all sit here next Sunday, we haven't played very well, but we've had a solid performance and we've beaten Peterborough, we'll all be happy. I'm not saying we're going to, but...
I think that's the key, isn't it? We win a game and then we go on 2 or 3 games where we can't win, can't score, can't win for nothing. I think if we can take this win, and it was a win, regardless of what we all think of the performance, it was a good win. We'll take that win. But do you know what I mean? If it was, it is say, I don't know, Man United going to take is going to be more happier with a sloggy 1-0 against West Brom, or are they going to be a lot happier, following that up with a win against Liverpool? Yeah.
Well, I think, for what it's worth, to jump in ahead of you in that, Matt, I think if now Downs has come through 90 minutes, I want to see Andre in these next 2 games really step forward and sort of put his mark on the team, on the division, and really start to... Because now he can start to not worry about the dirty side of the game, Matt. He can now start to focus on getting on the ball and making things happen with a fitter Downs next to him, can't he?
Yeah. No, I do agree with that. That's one of the things while Downs has been gone, we've all said that Dazelle doesn't really do the tracking back and the dirty side of the game well. My worry here, though, is we're talking about Peterborough and Sunderland coming up, right? And in the summer, we were saying we just need to get into this mindset of going toe-to-toe with these promotional rivals. And here we are, all sitting, we've got to keep it tight. We're already worried about what's coming at us. When we really, on top of our stature and some of the names on our squad list, should be saying, take it to them.
Disagree. One of the greatest managers in the last 15 years the Premier League has seen in Jose Mourinho, his first mantra is keep it tight. do not concede, because that means you can't lose. Now, people say it's boring and it's rubbish and it's part of the bus, but in big games, if you don't lose to your rivals in big games, they've not taken points off you. The important thing here is do not give points to your rivals.
I challenge that. You say Mourinho's a brilliant manager and all that. Maybe the first 2 to 3 years, the rest of the time he's lost his jobs.
He's the
greatest manager in the Premier League was Alex Ferguson, and it was attack, never give up. And he won how many trophies? Won how many Premier Leagues?
How many's Jose won? He's won everywhere he's gone, all around the world.
Yeah.
But we should have kept McCarthy then.
Look at the teams he's inherited.
We should have kept Mick then, if that's the style you want, because he kept it tight against everybody.
Well, yeah, exactly. Therein lies the problem, though, Matt. It's keeping it tight to everybody. Like, for example, if we go to Peterborough and we draw, they are still only 1 point ahead of us. Beat Crewe and they lose against whoever they're playing that weekend, things start to flip. If you get beat by Peterborough, you're 4 points. You're giving points to rivals. You're ceding ground. You can't do that. That's the important thing here, and that's where you have to be a bit more savvy, if you like, and that's when Mourinho really wins out. Rich, he's savvy against his top.
You got to be streetwise, haven't you? That's
absolutely.
Would you boys take 2 draws and a win in the next 3 games?
Absolutely, 110%.
Yeah, probably would.
I would. Yeah.
All right, Mike, we appreciate you. I'm going to bring in our recruitment specialist, Luke Penning, because although where is he? I don't know. Let's try again.
Is he coming?
There he is. He's got his new webcam working. Because there was news this week of Ipswich Town turning down an offer from Plymouth Argyle for right back Junaid Denassian. A nominal fee were the words I read on CWTD. Make of that what you will. Where do we stand on this, gentlemen? Is this the sign of why we are in League One? Because of a failed transfer window under Paul Hurst?
Go on, Luke.
I kind of agree. You think of it in a way that, when he signed, there was this whole hoo-ha about, I think it was international clearance at the time, how when he signed for £750 of initial loan, since Lambert came in, he was very on his way that he's the centre-back. And that's, he comes in, plays a handful of games at left-back and right-back. And, at the time of, how our fullbacks have been performing recently, you really kind of expect someone like Denassian to come in and get a chance. It just really hasn't worked out for him, has it? He got a couple of games under Hurst and Lambert himself hasn't really rated him. So, at the end of the day, it's £750,000 down the drain. You turn down a bid from Plymouth and the hope maybe of his contract at the end of the season. And I think it's kind of a way of adding an option and then selling them on in the summer. You're going to get more money. And I think Evans himself thinks of trying to recoup some of that back. I don't think you're going to get much from it. I think, you're looking at maybe $100,000 at max, maybe even that. But now, if it was me, I think the worries about selling him now and getting someone in who they can bring in anyway. And I think probably more appropriate to do it in the summer. But we'll see. Rich,
the fee for Junaid Denassian, it's nothing in football, is it? We make it out to be, huge amounts of money, but it's not far off what we paid for Gavin Williams about 15 years ago.
Gavin Williams, blimey, he's a good little Welsh midfielder. Look, it's not worked out for him. I don't really see the point in. I see Accrington are in for him. I see Ryan Lowe's interview, and he said they might maybe go back in for him, but he's not going to play, is he? What are we getting, $50,000 for him?
A nominal fee, they called it. You've got to think it's in, like 50, 60 grand. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'd take it.
If he went to Accrington, that'd be a piss take, wouldn't it? It's gone full circle and cost us almost £1 million.
I think they got a new stand. Did they build?
Because I think the actual money that they spent for him.
What's that, Rich?
I think it's the dressing rooms that they ended up.
Yeah.
One at a time. The thing is, this is where I stand on it, right? Why not just accept it? Because he's not playing games. Even if you sign him to a new 12-month option, his value doesn't go from 50 to £500,000 like that. It really doesn't, because he's not playing games. And actually, even if he's on like a real basic, I don't know, let's say £1,500 a week, you're still saving nearly £40,000. That can go some way into improving the squad. Or, Luke, talk to me about this one, because you know players around the leagues. Plymouth Argyle, have they got anybody you could potentially say, look, You have Janai Donasian, we'll have him, and we'll pay you less money for a standout performer. Have they got anybody you could do that?
Trying to think.
The standout's Jeff Cott, but they ain't going to sell him, are they?
They've got a bunch of different. No, I think, you know, it depends if they're willing to let someone leave. I think honestly depends about what position they see Donasian in depends of who they can give us in a way. But, you know, Plymouth in a pretty good side. I think Butch Cooper in from Peterborough, who's naturally a winger, a centre midfielder, and they've got him playing at left wing back at the moment. So I could see him in the back three that they play. I could see him more likely playing as a centre half. I think in terms of recruitment, it's probably going to be someone from, you know, because you look at it how you see in people like Harry Pickering and Perry NG from Crewe being touted to moves from the Championship. And it does seem, us anyway, we need to start looking at the League Two high-performing players. You know, we've seen people talked about from many fans, such as Cohen Bramall from Colchester, but he looks to be going to Reading to replace Richards, who's off to Bayern Munich. I've got a video coming out on Tuesday about 4 fullbacks that we should sign, looking at different options, players from the Scottish Leagues, League Two. There's a player from Exeter who has been on very good stats for the last 2 seasons. His name's Jack Sparks. He can play left back. He's around 22 years of age. Someone like that, or Mal Benning, who plays for Mansfield, who's been very consistent throughout the last 2 or 3 years. So there's a bunch of different players that we can get. It's just this group recruitment to actually pulling their finger out for once. I knew in the summer when we signed Stephen Ward that it was going to be based on his experience, because there seemed to be an emphasis on bringing people with promotion experience to our club. And with someone the ages he is at 35, you're not really going to expect to see that. As well as he started at the beginning of the season, you expect to see that consistently throughout a 46 or 45 game season. So, you know, it does depend in the summer what we do. You've still got Kenlock rattling around in the building, and, you know, it depends what happens with that, really. Something needs to happen this summer in the fullback department, because you're pinning your hopes too much on KBY.
Well, I'm not anymore, but go and check that video out on Luke's channel. On Plymouth, though, I mean, you know, Jeff Cott, I know, Matt, you scoffed at it a little bit and they wouldn't sell him. What about Conor Grant, a player they acquired from Everton on a free transfer? He's their top assist. He got six assists and 3 goals this year. You want somebody more creative.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty certain he was one of our loan players.
Yeah, with him under Mick.
Yeah, he was back on loan years back. Yeah.
I think go back to Donasian, right? The reason he's not playing is because they don't drop Chambers. Because he would be the backup right back, wouldn't he, with KVY out of the picture? And we know he can play left back as well. But someone said in the comments there earlier, he'll go and then one of them two will bloody get injured. And he ain't got anyone to fill the gap there.
But I don't understand the club's position on this in terms of digging their heels in and saying we're not, like, if you don't want to sell him for the fee they're offering, get creative with it. Like, surely Jeff Cott is a player. How much would he go for? Let's be honest, right? How much do you think Jeff Cott would go to a Championship club for? 2 million? Million and a half? 3?
I'd say between 500.
How much did Max Watt go for?
You look at it's an interest. I don't know the exact fee, but you're probably 1 million at max, maybe. You know, the deals happening recently have been, you know, really different. You've got Harry Pickering, who's tipped to a move to a Championship side, and you look at the fullbacks that have gone out of that, people like James Justin, that's a couple million, but in his case it tends to be around 500,000 to 750,000. Maybe the COVID-19 pandemic has a way on how clubs higher up are going to pay for deals like this. And I think with Jeff Cott and how he's been performing, the same with Max Waters, as you mentioned, it's more likely to see them move to a Championship club rather than Ipswich with how things are going.
But how things are going, but which to me it's almost sort of blows my mind, because this is the Evans mantra. You buy somebody who's on the way up, and then he either gets you to where you want to get to, or you sell him for twice the fee. Surely, if you've got a club interested in one of your players, they've got a need, you've got a need. Yes, it's going to involve an Adam Webster type situation where you give them money as well, but you give them less money and you acquire a player of absolute quality who's on that upward trajectory. Like, it's just this whole backward thinking at Ipswich Town, where we've got 12 months on a player we paid £1 million for, so we're going to dig our heels in. I just can't work out why we turned it down and why we're.
Is it? There's literally nothing in Marcus Evans' biscuit tin for a rainy day to strengthen in January.
But isn't this the whole policy? Like, even if we buy Jephcott outright, I'm not saying we're going to, and don't get promoted, if he comes and scores 10 goals, a championship club will say he's carried that form on. We're going to buy him from you. Yeah. You're not going to lose unless he breaks his leg in the first 5 minutes, Eureka Le Pen style, and disappears. But that's Paul Taylor style of football, isn't it? Sometimes, Rich, that happens.
Yeah,
it's like our recruitment. It's like Ollie Hawkins. So we've got him on a free. You're going to have no sell on there.
Of course, you're not.
The player who's there for a couple of years. I've got a question for Luke. Is Randall Williams still at Exeter?
Yeah, he had a move collapse to Peterborough. I think his agent. I remember. Player. I think Darren McAnthony touched on it in his podcast. Randall Williams is a player that I've had on my sights for ages since his time at Exeter. I think he's done really well for them. Did last season when they started back from the lockdown and he's a player that Peterborough I expected to go there. Obviously, his agent probably wants his hopes on a championship move, and I guess that kind of prices us out of things. But it's a kind of sad state of affairs, really. You look at the fans were brought in, as I said in the comments, bringing in someone like David Cornell as a senior goalkeeper. Do we really need to? We've got Adam Shibek and Harry Wright, whose contract's up in the summer, and it's kind of the point of we're not going to give these people chances. You need to look at players you've got contracts coming out of. You've got people out in the summer. People Harry Wright. You've got Shibek, who's out on a contract in the summer. With Cornell still in the building and Holy as well as your two senior keepers, they really need a chance to play here. I don't know.
This is it. And so look, we're just losing you. So I do appreciate you coming in though, and look after yourself. Just before we move on to our individual pieces, I know I'm on Jephcott now, but he's young enough. He doesn't count in a salary cap. So you haven't even got.
How old is he?
20.
Yeah.
And he didn't do much in League Two under Derek Adams. He's just started to come to the fore this year, and
he's been on loan. Where was he on loan? He was non-league somewhere.
Chiro.
That was it.
And
we don't think like that. We don't think like that, do we? That he's not going to come under the cap. We go for someone like Ollie Hawkins, who's 27, 28, and it's just a.
What were they thinking about Hawkins to bring him in then? What was the
desperation? It starts with a D and it ends with an N. Desperation. Absolutely. We need a striker. Will King's already gone somewhere else, so that's our contact book destroyed.
He scored again yesterday.
Fucking typical.
He's got 6 contact for Wigan.
Typical. Right. Let's have a word from our sponsors, and then we'll go to your crunching tackle.
And here she is, leaning into Citadel. Oh, yes, she's really, really pleased with herself. Yes, she's going to tell everybody on the old fax machine when she gets back to the office. Hi, I'm Lizzie, the founder of I Want to Network. Networking is always about building connections. So gone are the days of shaking someone's hand, and that was the way that networking was done. So whether you're home working, homeschooling, self-isolating or quarantining, we still want to connect with you. And with our online offering, we're more than able to do that. Our events are designed to be online only, and all our particular events are planned with that in mind. So check out iwanttonetwork.com and speak to you soon.
Thank you, Lizzie. Homeschooling. Who's doing homeschooling here? Matthew, you are, aren't you?
Yes.
What did you learn this week?
That you can drink brandy at 11 o'clock in the morning.
I knew that anyway. Right, Rich, what you got for us, son?
Just before, we got a great comment there from Sid Driver, because Ollie Hawkins used to work on a building site, didn't he? Yeah. Ollie Hawkins will be back on the tools within 2 years. So I'm thinking, can't we do a job swap there? Because Sid's a brickie. Sid can come and play up front for Ipswich, and we can pack Hawkins off back to the building site.
Love Sid. I would love that. Love that.
Crunching tackle. Have you got the pictures?
Yes, I certainly have. Yes.
So happier times. Today, there he is, Ollie. 6 years ago, we played Millwall away at the Den under Mick. Obviously, we were pushing for the. I think where were we then? About third or fourth. We'd had a little bit of a dip in form, hadn't we? So that was a great day. We won 3-1. Noel Hunt, do you remember him, Matt?
Yes, I like him.
Scored a brace, and Jonathan Parr nipped one. There he is. Look,
Noel Hunt was kind of a Norwood style character, wasn't he? He was a bit chippy.
Yeah, we got him in. He was on a free, wasn't he? I think he's where was he now? He was at Swindon, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a coach somewhere. He was with Wellings, wasn't he? Was he?
Yeah, maybe he's at Salford. Maybe he's gone to Salford then. But that was happier times. You know, it was a great day. I never got to be mascot. I don't know if any of you two ever got picked to be mascot.
No, it was difficult back then.
I mean, it only cost. It was only 25 quid, Matt, for that. Yeah, whereas Ipswich now.
Bloody charge you?
Yeah, 25 quid. Ipswich is about 170. No, about 220 now.
Is it?
220.
Oh, timeout. They charge children to be mascots.
You want to see it? You want to see the Premier League?
I don't.
How much they charge? One of my mates, his son was mascot for West Ham, and I think he was in. I think he done it against Newcastle. So obviously they had brackets of games. I think for that game it was about 500 quid.
I can't work it out. I'm sorry. That's like surely you want your children invested so they become fans, especially at this level. And you know they stick with the football club because they've got that emotional.
But back
connection.
in the day then, it was one mascot, Matt, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was about 400. It's 400.
I had a really good message from David King, so I put that picture up, and he tweeted me earlier. I don't know if you can see that. It's not that good. He was mascot in 1977. It's got a picture of him with Mick Mills and Clive Woods and Beattie coming out the tunnel, and then. He got the coin. You can't really see that.
All right,
it's the match coin he got.
Is that right?
Really?
I don't know because a lot of them now have they have football teams, don't they?
Yeah, teams and that junior.
If anyone sits near me, they'll know how much I detest ball boys. I'm constantly shouting at the buggers because they just sit there like you're a goal down or it's 0-0, 88th minute. You got to throw in the cobblestone. They just sit there.
Do you remember the
ball man?
Did you go to the playoff game at West Ham when Pardew was manager and the ball boys were? That was when Joe Royal. I think they had a falling out because they really the balls were flying back in. I think they had the multi-ball system for that game and they were losing. They obviously won 2-1. That was the one where Everton scored that worldie in the top corner. As soon as they went 2-0 up on the night, when we wanted to get the ball back quickly, they were not bothering.
I've got bad memories of that game. The police told me to calm down. I was there, chuck me out.
Great atmosphere that night. That was a great atmosphere.
Matt Phillips. Anyway, Matt, what you got for us?
Back in my Ultra days. Have we got Media Mogul?
Ultra days. Listen to him. What an absolute. Ultra.
Well, let's forget about the UK. We're going to go to sunnier climes. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain, is what we heard. But this week, nightmare. Storm Philomena is hit Spain. It brought Madrid to an absolute standstill. Now, we bring back Madrid football, don't we? I think Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. There's a lot of other clubs in the city. Getafe, Leganes, and also, our subject for today's Media Mogul, Rayo Vallecano. So, Copa del Rey was thrown into disarray by the snow. So, Martin, have we got the first picture of the Campo de Football? So that's where Rayo Vallecano play. And that very day, they were supposed to be playing Elche in the Copa del Rey. And as you can see, they didn't bother to clear the pitch. So the game was supposed to kick off at midday. So that wasn't going to happen. So the Spanish FA then turned around to them and said, you can play the game at 4 o'clock on your training ground, make sure that is cleared. That didn't happen either. Now, they've got a bit of a lively president at Rayo Vallecano, and the supporters want him out. It's called Raul Martin Preza. So the supporters want him out. He basically makes Marcus Evans look like a shining embodiment of football ownership. So the fans want him out, and now the players want him out, and they've actually issued a statement today saying they want him gone. But we've still got this game to play, haven't we? Because Elche have travelled. So then the Spanish FA said you could play at our headquarters ground in Madrid. That's Razas, I think it's called. And then if we bring that footage up, Martin, we can see the snow being cleared by the Spanish FA guy.
Yep, give me a second. Here it is.
You see kind of snow that's hit Spain here. Here we go.
Here it should be coming. Hang on. Where is it? Can you see it?
Yeah, there it is. Look at that. Worst snowstorms hit Spain in 50 years. So the Spanish FA, in order to get this game going, so they would clear the training ground of their own facility, and Rayo Vallecano could play Elche there, which they did. But of course, we've had 2 kickoff times gone, haven't they? 12 o'clock's gone, 4 o'clock's gone. So they got the game on at 10 o'clock at night. And they played it last night, and Rayo Vallecano won 2-0. Can you imagine Ipswich kicking off at 10 o'clock at night?
No, because I would definitely fall asleep after 10 minutes then if Ipswich Town did that. 10 past 10, I'm in bed with me Coco. I really am. God, what a story.
Very lively owners in Spain, and Rayo Vallecano supporters have been protesting long and hard against it for quite some time.
That's one for the old global warming people, isn't it? That one, Spain getting that much snow and all that, you know.
Well, interesting. I saw some footage of some of their protests they've had over the last 18 months. You know, something for Blue Action to think about. They've had the old flares out. They play in white and red, so big red flares out, big banners saying we will fight for our club. So maybe something to think about when we can do our protest against Evans.
That ain't going to happen. Do we want, and I know Callie's not here, but if Callie's watching, you can jump in. Do we want to mention anything about media coverage this week?
Have you got the picture that Callie tweeted me this morning talking about snow?
More snow. Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yes, I have.
So this was in Turkey, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
Istanbul, Besiktas v Sivasspor. So there they are. Look, you can't really see. That's Besiktas in the orange. Sivasspor.
It's the opposition.
They are there somewhere, but they are playing in white. And you know, Matt, what they've called it now in European football?
What's this?
The Casper strategy. You know, Casper the Ghost.
Yeah.
There was another picture on that feed. If you scroll down on the Twitter, that someone had circled all the players because they are actually there.
They are
there. It probably makes it worse if it's on the TV. You know, but
that's brilliant.
It is. Rich, side question: have you got any Just for Men in your house?
Just for men? Well, I've not really got any grey bits.
Not for your hair, not for your hair, for your beard, because apparently your beard's looking quite dark today.
Oh.
Have you been dyeing it? Mike Brown asks, have you been dyeing it?
There's no dye, unlike Benjamin. I think Ben does a bit of Just for Men, doesn't he?
Ben who?
You know, Ben.
Ben Benjamin Michael. Yeah.
Allegedly.
And Martin, of course.
Maybe.
No, not me. No, I'm too lazy for that. I'm too lazy. What have I got? I have got... Oh, I tell you what. No, I haven't got anything. Oh, yes, I have. We had I have. This came to my attention. We have some fan art sent in.
Fantastic.
Well, not sent in, but posted online. Some fan art. I want to describe it a certain way, but my wife won't let me, so I won't go there. Don't upset my wife. Matt, feast your eyes on this, okay? We welcome fan art from all people, but this particular person obviously has a love for us because they've taken the time to...
I've seen this image floating around a lot this week on social, different photoshopped on. Look at that.
I have never looked so good. Can I just say I absolutely love this because I've never, ever, ever looked so good. And I actually would go out in that sort of shirt for a night out. Not the ripped jeans. I can't stand ripped jeans with a passion. But I look fucking impressive.
I've never looked so tall.
Those guns, though. Des and Troy, you know.
Really impressive, that.
Oh.
You know, well, we've had our parody account up and now it's gone again, hasn't it? That's disappeared. You know.
This one particular person who posted it, though, to take that sort of time.
Yeah. Take that time out of your day to do that for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. Callie, welcome in.
Oh, Callie's here.
Callie's here. To round up the show, or before we round up the show, do we want to discuss? Because I know Callie was very wanting to discuss his stance on the press this week, and I probably think you two do as well.
Yeah.
I'm obviously neutral in this. I'm always Switzerland, but Callie, talk to me. Give us more on your stance. I know you wanted to elaborate.
So in reference to all the EADT and all those kind of things and what we were asking for, because I think there was a lot of responses where it was, and rightly so, Stu and Andy, they have asked questions and they do write really well. But like we said, it was the big headlines. The big headlines put the pressure on. The pressure on at the moment, I've said it from the beginning, I think the very first time I come on this pod, where Lambert won't go because the league is that bad. Evans, as long as he gets top 6, until it's mathematically not possible for him to get top 6, Lambert ain't going. Right, and the league's that bad is that we'll probably stay there till May. So the idea is that we need to put pressure on the owner. We were looking at that protest, well, Blue Action looking at that protest, and I was going to go there as well. And a few other people were as well. But obviously, with COVID and all the rest of it, that's not there. So the media and the local press is our mouthpiece. So they are writing those kind of things, and it's not like it's unprecedented. It's not even like the paper hasn't done it before. So all we're saying is that the style of play, what we're doing, everything, we can talk about what's happened under Paul Lambert. The one Ipswich fans are always divided, and we always have different views. But I think the one thing that everyone is united in is that Paul Lambert must go. Now, yes, we got a win against Burton yesterday, but any other manager would have got that. Right? You could have given it to Kieran Dyer to manage the team yesterday. We could have scraped that same win, probably a better performance. Right? It wasn't a great performance. We'll get turned over against the bigger boys. I can't see us doing anything more. We've been found out as a team, and this is what it comes down to. We have one plan A, and that's it. We don't have plan B, plan C, so we can't switch it up. Teams has found us out. At the beginning, teams couldn't find us out. That's where we got our results. Now we're being found out. And all we're asking with the headlines is just to say, put the pressure on. So next week, and rightly so, look, they've done headlines. The thing that really pissed me off after the Swindon game is it was a bad performance. They were second bottom, right? We got turned over at home, and the headline they ran with was, "What a great goal they scored." It was like, come on, man! Like, how are you really writing that, right? The words in there were great, but the headlines. You read the headline, then you read the story, right? That's what it goes over, yeah. So that's what we're trying to ask for there. But next week we'll get turned over. We might get a result. I think is it Peterborough Saturday, then Sunderland Tuesday? Yeah, so we get Peterborough. You know, that's at Portman Road. We might get a result. We might get a draw. I said it yesterday. We get 1 point out of those 2 games. Let's see what the headlines are.
Matt, I know they issued a statement, if you like, in their podcast. You listened to it. Yes. You worked in the media mogul. Yeah. What's your position on it now?
From there, I think you've got to see it from their point of view and self-preservation from their point of view. They've obviously had their fingers burnt over Magilton all those years back, and it's obviously they're not going to go down that road again. I mean, it's pretty safe to say they're not going to go down that road again. But the reason we want to put pressure on the East Anglian as the town's main newspaper and the region's main newspaper is because newspaper headlines, even though we're in a very digital world, within football, newspaper headlines still carry loads and loads of weight. They have influence in the clubs. They carry weight with the players, and they carry weight with the managerial teams. And it's why Sunday Supplement on Sky ran for 20 plus years, where they would sit around and discuss the Sunday newspapers. It carries weight in the football industry. So that's why we did it. We had some people saying we were bullying the guys and abusing them. Please look through me and Rich's Twitter. You won't find anything like that whatsoever. It's the fact we can't go into the stadiums, and we want the East Anglian Daily Times to put pressure on Lambert and to put pressure on Evans. And I don't think that's out of order to say so. And I think, Rich and Andy, Stu and Andy both said, we expect this kind of feedback, and we'll take it on the chin. But I wouldn't hold your breath for anything. I think, we saw it this week, Newcastle Evening Chronicle. They lost to Sheffield United in their Newcastle. Back page, Lee Ryder, who's been the editor there for many years, but it was a disgrace to the crest. It was a shambles. And that was actually in the headline on the back. Big city newspaper. There's a little bit of backwater thinking. I don't want to disrespect anyone who lives in Suffolk and that kind of thing, but East Anglian, it's a little bit. You're talking a big city newspaper in Newcastle, and the East Anglian's readership is kind of rural. Maybe they don't want to rock the boat for those kind of reasons.
But in their defence, they said, if I remember correctly, once you go there, where do you go from there? So, in Newcastle's point of view, where does that editor then take his newspaper?
Well, I think it's probably an ongoing battle with Mike Ashley. Is really the ongoing thing now. I think for me, I think they're waiting to see what happens off the back of Peterborough and Sunderland. But then we've now missed the window. I said this with Joe Fairs on Twitter in the week. We've now missed the window. We've got a week between games. Now we're going Tuesday, Saturday for weeks on end. If you change manager then, that's going to be disruption.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We ain't going to, because that's Evans' boy, right? Evans has got him in there. He's backing him. And he's backing him. He's giving him the contract. And like I said, I firmly believe he's got an objective of making the playoffs. And until that's mathematically not possible, Lambert is safe, right? The league is that bad that it will be there till the last game, right? The problem is, we all know that we're not good enough to be a top six, to beat anyone in the top six, so we have to go up as a second. That's the only way out. The big issue, yes, is Evans, but we're not going to be able to get Evans to sell unless we start putting pressure in places. Starting with, get rid of your boy, get rid of Lambert. That's the guy you're backing. We're telling you, actually, no, you're wrong. Let's put some pressure on that. Then you can start putting other things. So like we said before, don't go back to the ground. Don't renew your season ticket next year. Do you know what I mean? All those kind of things.
It's an interesting idea.
What happens? Obviously, there's a certain fan base that will just go with it. I'm not going to.
You're right, Kelly. I'm going back to a bit of some thinking I had at the end of last season before, when the COVID break came in. And I was like, there is no way Marcus Evans, as a ticket expert, is going to front up a campaign for you to renew your ticket again in League One with Paul Lambert on the front of the brochure. That would be madness. That'd be madness. And I've got the thing, if we're outside the top six here, I can't see him lasting to the end of the season because he can't fund that campaign. That'd be ludicrous.
It's interesting, Matt. You said about like people not renewing season tickets. I actually listened to the pod, and I've seen lots and lots of people on social media about cancelling their season tickets. Yeah. Stu said he's contacted the club, and there's a couple of dozen. A lot of people will say one thing, and then they'll do another.
Yeah. When it comes down. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Well,
but they'll also have no problem defending people being paid to do the job, but slaughtering two people who I'm looking at right now who aren't paid to do the job and just have an opinion. They'll slaughter you, but they won't. They're immediately on the defence of these two people, which I found interesting this week.
But you get these people who say you've been bullying them. Yeah, then you look at certain people, their social media, and they're absolutely hammering the manager. So it's nonsense. It's nonsense.
It's like our mate, innit?
I think Martin and Matt look the best on that picture.
I know, we do. We really do. He got bored with Rich's face, didn't he? Look, he got bored with that one, but me and Matt, mate, we're carrying it.
Personally speaking, we got. I chat boxing and M&A with Mark Heath on Twitter. Stu and Andy seem really top guys. I've met Stu briefly in my FA days. I don't know Andy. They seem really nice guys. We would happily sit down and have a pint with them after a game at some point. We've got no personal animosity against them. It's all about the one big thing that we're all aiming at is Ipswich Town Football Club. Now we make that better. And I feel like we make that better with better ownership and a better manager. And there's lots of good managers out there at the moment. Let's not miss the boat in case the Cowleys or Paul Cook. They're going to get snapped up very soon.
Okay, right, Callie, we appreciate you, but we're going to bring the show to a close with run its course for today. Thank you, Callie. Very quickly, because I know he's been waiting, bless him. Stuart, you've been waiting so patiently. What's going on? I know you had a little bit of an issue with the club yesterday, but what do you thinking? Very quickly.
Just I get the fact that he's not going to go, but just get him out. I don't want to miss the chance of a Cook and the Cowleys, but we need to look at other avenues as well as the new manager and just scoop them up while we can.
But to tie that into what we were just talking about there, when there's no headlines, when there's no chatter, no fans in the stadium, how do you get him out? So in your world, in your plan, how do you see the pressure being applied to remove the manager?
Honestly, I don't know. At this point, I honestly don't know.
Which I think is where the frustration came from during the week. Because if those in the corridors of Portman Road aren't prepared to, when they have said on their podcast, they can't see it getting any better, I think that's where your frustration came from. Am I right in thinking that, Matt and Rich? And the rest of you, that's where the frustration is born.
I mean, we talk about timing. What timing were... I said to Stu on Twitter, nicely, what timing have you been waiting for? We've been relegated. We've been in relegation form for most of a year. We went from the top to 11th, missed out on promotion. Been lots of big moments East England could have jumped on and heard their say, but whether it's there.
Yeah, and I think in their defence, they've said these things in their podcast.
Yeah.
I would just say, I've said to you, and I'll say it publicly. It's one thing saying it, but has anybody heard it? How much of EADT's readership listen to podcasts or know about podcasts? I know my nan, bless her, loves the paper, but she didn't even know anything about this situation, anything about it. So it's one thing saying it, but it's another thing people actually sort of hearing it.
People I sit around with, I've got a WhatsApp group now that I sit with at Portman Road, older fan base. They're still quite, give Lambert a chance, getting these players back, which is very much kind of, they are East England Daily Times readers, so that probably speaks volumes.
Oh, here we go again, bragging about. Here we go, bragging.
There he is.
£2 now in Planet Blue.
There, £2. Nah, bargain, that would be £2. Stuart, we've got to end the show, but we appreciate it. I'm sorry I can get you on for longer.
That's all right. I've been busy anyway,
never apologise for passion, my friend. I saw you on Facebook apologising. Never ever apologise for passion. Trust me, that man there is unapologetically passionate. So, not had an avalanche in a long time, have we, Matt?
Do you have any snow, Matt? Is there any snow in Chelmsford?
All I'm going to say to everybody about the avalanche is watch this space.
Hello and welcome to Portman Road. This end indicates an important announcement.